Hi, happy Saturday, October 18th. I thought I would record a video since it's been a minute. I think it's been like over a week. And I was feeling a bit absent because I've been a bit absent. In typical fashion, I have some notes on what I want to chat about today. It's nothing too deep. But yeah, first thing is just kind of generally wanting to check in and do like a little bit of a pulse check and talk about the absence and like acknowledge that this is new for me and I am in the process of dipping my toe into a couple different creative endeavors. Also, I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a fall vibe, so I hope you enjoy. But yeah, I'm allowing myself to play and try a couple different creative endeavors, and I'm feeling out what feels good in terms of format and frequency. And I think really what's at the root of this channel is about like honoring self and finding safety within self and fostering care for self. And so with that said, I think that's a little bit where the absence has stemmed from this last week and a half. And I'm learning, I'm paying attention, I'm gathering data, and I'm learning how to better safeguard my energy and be a better caretaker for myself. And it's a process. Sometimes things go well and sometimes I learn what I could do better. But yeah, I feel like I really have been busy. I've been a busy girl since I got back from my Europe trip. I pretty immediately dove into interview prep for a pretty intense interview, and then had a different interview with a different company, so I was prepping for that, and then had a couple different social things, and then was preparing for a friend to stay with me that I hosted last weekend. And then we had the Chicago Marathon that I went to see my cousin. And then I went to a conference this past week that was hosted here in Chicago. And all of these things are great things. And it's a lot. And I hadn't realized how much it would be. And I will also say that I did have a gut feeling. Again, we're learning, we're paying attention. I did have a gut feeling about the interview, that doing it immediately after I got back, that may have been too much, and it was. It didn't give me the opportunity that I really needed to catch my breath and settle back in at home and like thoughtfully integrate the things that I had learned on my trip and the experiences that I had had on my trip. And I wish I had had that, but I didn't. I sacrificed that because I wanted to acknowledge and appreciate that this company, we had started the interview process before I went on my trip, and then they were flexible in waiting for me to continue the process until I came back from the 3-week trip. So I think there is a level of compromise there that I wanted to be flexible with as well and kind of play ball with. And now I am kind of noting that, like, hey, I wish maybe I had tuned in a little bit further and really listened to that gut feeling of like, oop, like this might be a little bit tight to try to do all this. maybe asking for a couple more days would have been more reasonable, or just not stacking so much after that as well. But I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know it would all kind of line up like that. And then with this week, with the conference, I really wanted to be present and take advantage of my time there and make connections and be in sessions and all of that. And so I did those things, and then ended up, I think, just doing a little bit too much. But yeah, I pushed it a bit hard the last couple of weeks and haven't given myself a ton of time to really slow down and care for myself. And so anyways, I'm observing and learning and paying attention and doing that so that I can move forward from a place of intention moving forward. But so back to kind of creative outlets and this space, I am trying to be thoughtful that I want to be intentional, that I don't like shy away from showing up in this space because of like a desire or need for perfectionism, and wanting to wait until I've perfected my thought or a concept, or like perfectly package something to share it. I think it's important to, you know, situate something in appropriate context. And I think this is kind of a fun dance and a balance, because I think there will be like topics or things that I want to share like as they're happening, and that I want to talk about candidly. But then I think there will be other topics and ideas that I have on my mind and on my heart that I want to hold a little bit longer and approach with more intention and do further research on before I share out. And yeah, I mean, I can speak to my own lived experience and my anecdotal experience, certainly. But there are some topics that I think presenting the science or research behind it alongside of my lived experience is impactful. So I think I am, to summarize, thinking about this space in terms of kind of how I'm sharing, like frequency-wise, balancing my own self-care. So sorry, one of my little kitties just threw up. Don't love that. But yeah, so wanting to approach with intentionality in terms of how I'm showing up, respecting my own time and care and safety with the other things that I'm juggling in life. But also bearing in mind, like, it's not that deep, it's not that serious, it doesn't have to be perfect. And there are some topics that I want to put more care into and more time into and more resources into before I share them. And like with that in mind, and like the time and resources and like how I'm putting things together, I am just a baby here. I am so green in this space. I do not know what I'm doing. I feel so good and like so, what did I say? I said something good, hold on. No, I really didn't. But no, I'm a baby in this like YouTube editing online space. I feel great, I feel good, I feel proud of like my thoughts and my ideas and my reflections. Also in my photography and videography. I've never been like a videographer, but some of the videos that I'm capturing, just kind of visual documentation, I feel good on. But in terms of like streaming these things together, editing content, that's new and a little terrifying, a little spooky, scary. I don't know what I'm doing. There's definitely a perceived learning curve, and a perceived time investment to do these things. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. That's spooky scary. And that's the point of this exercise, is to be putting myself in a space that's new for me. So I'm just reminding myself of this so it doesn't feel so spooky scary. But yeah, just like, I know I've said before that one of the first videos I was going to make was kind of highlights from my Europe trip and some of my reflections from that trip. I've not done that because a lot of the content that I wanted to share are the photos and videos that I took. And just the process of stringing that together with a voiceover, a video, I've not had the gumption to do that amidst the other things that have been going on in my life at the moment. It is something I'm excited about, but it's something I'm weirdly scared of. Why am I scared of trying something new? That's so silly. And it's valid. It makes sense. It's new. I'm just being honest. And yeah, like, life is a fun puzzle of prioritization and choices. I think I've shared on here that I'm in a current season of sabbatical or fun employment, and yeah, like, prioritizing applications and really even just the thought work that comes before applications, determining where I want to live, what I want to be doing. That's heavy on the list. That's high on the list compared to learning how to edit videos. That's like a fun endeavor, cool endeavor. I want to do something new. I want to explore. It's okay to play. It doesn't have to be that deep. But this is life. There's a lot going on. So anyways, I think the biggest thing for me is just reminding myself, literally, you're a baby. It's not going to be perfect, and that is okay. And it's also I'm like, I guess, grieving things in part, that like, I do like my ideas, I do like my photos, and I feel sad that like, I know that my first tries at videos are not going to be amazing. They're not going to be professional quality because I am a baby. This is new for me. But like, that is literally how you learn and grow. So yes, I am just working through that mental obstacle. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, that's the process, and giving grace to myself for this, and just generally in life, and allowing myself to care for myself, slow down, take things easier than I have in the past. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on this channel yet, but I get chronic tension or stress headaches. It's a fun new thing that started a couple years ago, and I'm learning more and more about them every time I have a flare-up. But the biggest thing that I'm learning is when it starts, it's increasingly important that I take care of myself, and the less that I do, the worse that things will get, and the longer the flare-up will last for. So today is Saturday, and the flare-up that I'm currently having, I think, started Wednesday, Thursday. And what came as a result of just pushing things too hard during the conference that I was attending, and then having a really interesting conversation on Thursday about a job that I thought was going to be a job offer, and it was not even close. So that was really, really fun and exciting, and fully for the best, like, not for me, and like, that's totally cool. but yeah, just kind of the context surrounding the conversation and several other factors made that a particularly fun one. Anyways, lots of grace, lots of care. Recognizing I'm not the same person that I was a couple years ago. My brain is not the same that it was a couple years ago, and I require different care than I did a couple years ago, and that means going slower than like the pace that I would have expected out of myself a couple years ago, and having compassion and understanding for that. Like, that's literally the only way that, or that is the way that I'm going to get the best outcome out of myself, is to be kind and gentle. So working to cultivate that is the strategy. Life moves at a very rapid pace, and so I'm intentionally trying to slow it down and move slower so that I can calibrate and align with what I am working toward and what I should be putting my efforts toward. I strongly believe that our time and energy are our most sacred resources, and I think if we're not careful, the hustle, the bustle, it will divert us and take us in many different directions. So I think it's an intentional act to slow down and really tune in to what are the things that we ought to be directing our focus and efforts toward. And so for me, that's going to be kind of caring for myself physically, mentally, spiritually, and working to integrate some of what I've learned and noticed and experienced over the last 6 weeks across my Europe trip, the conference, and then today I attended the No Kings protest here in Chicago. So lots happening, no shortage of things to chew on mentally, and I know that I'll have more that I want to kind of share out at different times, and I look forward to it. And yeah, I think that is where I will leave you. I will show you my protest sign from today. Empathy and accountability shouldn't feel radical. And then I had protect and serve, right? I did it in a rush, and I wish that for that side it had I put something more along the lines of, it feels like we're doing a lot more protecting and serving of each other, or just something more like that, or I don't know, something along the lines of, you know, I think we have an opportunity to really protect and serve ourselves, like as individuals. How can we protect our energy, our health? How can we serve, you know, our vision, things like that? And then how can we protect each other, like as a community? How can we serve each other as a community with our skills, ability, knowledge, resources? Because yeah, like these institutions, the government, law enforcement, religious institutions, they have guidelines that they operate by to protect and serve, to uphold the Constitution and other policies that generally would protect and serve the people, you know, at a high level, at an institutional level. But, and more granularly, how can we do that for ourselves? How can we do that for each other? because we should know ourselves really well, better than anybody, right? And we could get to know each other a bit better as community, so that we could be best equipped to protect and serve each other. Maybe better than, or maybe as a compliment to these institutions that maybe are meeting the mark in some regards, and maybe in some instances that we're seeing at times such as these, maybe missing the mark. So how can we fill those gaps as a community, as individuals who know our needs? Just a thought. Anyways, I think that was more like the sentiment behind that one. But really, really cool to be out today, and to just see, I think it was hundreds of thousands of folks here gathered in Chicago, incredibly peacefully, looking out for each other, with a lot of love, with a lot of light, with a lot of hope. With a lot of accountability, and with just an insane amount of patriotism and love for our nation. Really cool to see. So with that, I think I'm gonna end it here, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you soon.